exotic birds dead. I'm Ann Lindstrom. We'll have that story coming up.
Also tonight, it's the world's most accurate clock. You won't believe what goes into telling time here in Colorado.
Those stories, the latest on your weekend outlook, and all the sports.
Channel 2 News is next.
From KWGN-TV, Denver's 2, your first late newscast with Dave Young, Beverly Weaver, Al Fogelman with weather, and Jim Conrad with sports. This is Channel 2 News.
Good evening, I'm Dave Young.
And I'm Beverly Weaver. Thank you for joining us tonight.
A lot of questions and concerns tonight about one of the most highly publicized assault cases in recent Boulder history. 20-year-old
Paul Kelly was brutally attacked last Friday. Today, police seized the suspect's car, and while investigators say they are near making arrests, some wonder why it's taken so long, since witnesses and even suspects have come forward.
Channel 2's Ernest Goudelet joins us from the newsroom tonight with the latest. Ernest?
Well, Beverly, Dave, dozens of witnesses have come forward with information in this violent beating of Paul Kelly last Friday night in Boulder. And right now, campus cops and city police are sorting things out in the case before moving in to make any arrests. But they say they are just about ready. It's one of the busiest corners in Boulder, but tonight Broadway and Pleasant is also becoming known as its bloodiest. 20-year-old Paul Kelly was savagely beaten by 5 suspects late Friday night right here. He remains in critical but stable condition. Tonight, he is in a drug-induced coma while the swelling on the brain subsides.
Taylor!
The ball game is a pleasant diversion for Fairview students. All week long, Talk of the School has focused on this assault. Several of the suspects attend school here.
I think they should be tried as adults.
If they're old enough to do this to somebody, then they're old enough to
take the responsibility of what
they're old
they
enough to get put away for it.
But police say they are marking their time and moving judiciously before making any arrests. They say they have to be extra careful because some of these suspects are juveniles. They have, however, spoken to most of the suspects who have come in voluntarily. CU cops are working closely with Boulder police on this case, and arrests may be near.
We can't be more specific about when, because they're still organizing the information into a suitable format with the intended result of a successful prosecution.
This is one of Boulder's most recent sensational crimes. As a result, Scott Robinson, who represents the suspect, says people have rushed to judgment without all the facts.
Students talk, and for every student that criticizes a member of this group, there's an equally questionable statement saying that they're okay kids, this and that.
Well, Paul Kelly is a member of CU student government tonight, and tonight a resolution was introduced asking for campus cops to beef up security to prevent any kind of a repeat of last Friday night's episode. Right now, no one is saying when police will move in this matter, but neither is anyone suppressing speculation that tomorrow just may be that date. We will continue to follow this story, and of course, if there are any new developments, we will have them tomorrow night on Channel 2 News.
Okay, Ernest, sounds like you think there could be something happening then tomorrow.
Well, they're certainly not discouraging that train of thought, but the investigation is very complex, and they don't want to move too quickly, so it might be tomorrow, but there is a chance that it could be put off a day or so.
Okay, Ernest Goudelet, thank you.
Thanks, Ernest. A Denver man is in critical condition tonight after he was shot 8 times by an unknown attacker. The 26-year-old man, identified as Arturo Andrade, was standing here in the parking lot of the business where police say he works. Witnesses say a man in a maroon or red Camaro-type car pulled into the lot. The driver got out and shot Andrade 8 times, hitting him in the neck, arm, abdomen, and thigh. Police described the suspect as a Hispanic male with a mustache. No motive for the attack is known yet.
A Colorado Springs woman is in fair condition tonight after being shot during an attempted carjacking in California. 41-year-old Josephine Coulters was waiting in her pickup for a food order at this drive-thru here in Ontario, California last night when she was shot in the chest. The gunman complimented her truck and then asked to buy it. When she refused to sell it, the gunman pulled a pistol and ordered her to get out. She apparently resisted and then was shot at close range.
The suspect, after shooting the woman, then fled to a vehicle across the street, which may or may not have had another suspect inside the vehicle. The suspect vehicle fled, and as officers arrived, witnesses stated that the suspect apparently had tried to get into the pickup truck, but was chased off by the woman's female mixed German Shepherd dog that was inside the cab with her.
Coulters is being held in the jail section of this hospital after officers discovered 2 handguns, a large amount of narcotics, and cash inside her truck. They don't believe the drugs are directly related to the shooting, but they suspect that Coulters was planning to transport them back to Colorado.
A 20-year-old Broomfield man has been found guilty tonight of the execution-style murder of a convenience store clerk. A jury late today convicted Corey Zorn of 2 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated robbery, and conspiracy to commit aggravated robbery. He shot 39-year-old Luann Sisk in the head and robbed the gas station convenience store where she was working here last April. Police say he only made off with about $27. Prosecutors will seek the death penalty against Zorn starting tomorrow. Denver police have arrested a convenience store clerk and another man tonight in connection to an ATM theft yesterday. Investigators arrested 19-year-old Rosario Sandoval and 18-year-old Daniel Clack after discovering the automatic teller machine in a nearby field. Sandoval, who's a clerk at this convenience store in Parker, originally reported 3 men knocked him unconscious and wheeled away the 900-pound machine. But police say the suspected was an inside job right from the start. Investigators say the suspects were not able to break into the ATM. They're being held on $10,000 bond tonight.
A 17-year-old Denver teenager will be sentenced tomorrow in the shooting death of a 15-year-old last fall. Danny Akers pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and a crime of violence with a semi-automatic weapon as part of a plea agreement. He had been charged with first-degree murder for allegedly shooting to death 15-year-old Theron Hicks after an argument at this intersection in September. Akers faces at least 40 years in prison.
There are a lot of unanswered questions tonight about how 2 exotic and valuable birds were killed in their owner's backyard this past weekend in Lakewood. The mating pair of emus was worth about $25,000.
On Sunday, the birds were found dead in their pen, apparently after a dog attacked them. As Channel 2's Ann Lindstrom reports tonight, the incident has been turned over to the Lakewood Police Department for investigation.
Bill and Audrey Dosbach invested their retirement money into this breeding pair of emus, hoping to raise the flightless birds as a business. But while they were at a meeting last Sunday, something got into the pen and killed the birds.
Feathers all over, feathers against the tree, and just quite pathetic.
And while the birds were a business venture, they were also beloved family pets.
I guess you're still in shock. I haven't had tears yet, but I'm sure they will come. It takes me a little while, a week or so, to make the realization that that's what's happened to our babies.
The veterinarian says the birds' wounds are consistent with a dog attack. The pen where the birds were killed has a 6-foot fence all the way around it. But on the other side of the fence, the neighbors own a pit bull.
She was in the house all day Sunday.
The neighbor with the pit bull says her dog didn't attack the birds. She says there are other dogs in the neighborhood.
There's other pit bulls. I've not seen any of them run loose, but I've seen chows run loose. And lately here, a black one.
Lakewood animal control officers have turned the investigation over to the police so they can rule out any human involvement in what appears to have been an animal attack on another animal.
If a person was involved and was actually the instigator of a crime in reference to this, then that would be something that investigations would handle.
The Dosbachs aren't pointing the finger at anyone. They just hope if there is a vicious dog in the neighborhood, the next victim isn't a child.
So often you hear about this. There were signs that something was in the neighborhood and nothing was done. And then pretty soon it's a child, and then everybody says, oh, why wasn't something done?
The Dosbachs are asking anyone with information on what attacked their emus to call the Lakewood Police Department. Ann Lindstrom, Channel 2 News.
Police say any information from anyone who may have seen something strange in the neighborhood could help them solve this case. We have a lot more to tell you about tonight. Coming up in national news, more inmates are found dead at the site of that prison uprising in Ohio.
Also still to come tonight, the latest from Waco, Texas, where recovering and identifying victims is proving more difficult than anyone imagined.
Despite the clouds, we've experienced the warmest day of the year so far. Is tomorrow an instant replay or a disappointment? You'll want to join us.
In sports, the Rockies and Nuggets continue to suffer from road rash. We'll have the highlights and the lowlights coming up.
This is a class in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, where the students are learning about Earth Day. But for many of these children, every day is Earth Day. I'm Rebecca Stevens. We'll explain coming up on Channel 2 News.
I'm Anna Osborne, and this is the world's newest atomic clock. It's so accurate it won't gain or lose a second in a million years. I'll show you how it works in just a minute.
Those stories along with our 2-year health report.
Don't go away. Some IRS workers here in Denver say they are becoming sacrificial lambs in the effort to reduce federal spending.
2, 4, 6, 8. Why do we always have to wait?
The group is protesting a wage freeze that's been proposed for all federal workers by the Clinton administration and Congress. Workers say 3 years ago, Congress promised them an increase that was what they call only fair.
We were due a 2.2% cost of living raise January 1st of '94, and we're going to get nothing.
Newman says Congress has kept its pay raise while voting to cut the workers' increases, and she contends the lack of pay in federal agencies keeps the best people from applying for federal jobs. Other workers are getting support from Denver's mayor tonight in their search for higher pay. Today, Denver Mayor Wellington Webb led the march for child care workers throughout downtown. Right now in Colorado, there's a turnover rate of 40 to 60% in daycare centers per year. Today was declared Worthy Wage Day to draw attention to the problem.
Many of you we know cannot afford to continue to work as child care professionals and get paid an average of $5 an hour or less. And it's easy to understand why so many will leave.
Daycare experts say the high turnover rates gives children a lack of stability in their early years.
What may be the world's most accurate clock is keeping time in Boulder tonight. The National Institute of Standards and Technology introduced its newest atomic clock today. As Channel 2's Anna Osborne reports tonight, it puts a whole new perspective on the concept of time.
At the tone, 17 hours, 18 minutes, coordinated universal time.
This digital clock shows coordinated universal time, an international time standard based on readings from the best clocks all over the world. This is one of those clocks. It's a 7th generation atomic clock designed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology in Boulder. It uses a stream of cesium atoms to measure time in increments as short as a billionth of a second. Now you might wonder who could possibly need to keep time that precisely. Well, the truth is, lots of people do, especially those involved in navigation, measuring distance in space, in the air, on land, and on sea.
We measure that distance by looking at how long it takes a signal to get from the satellite to a ship. Now, traveling at the speed of light, this signal moves a meter in 3 billionths of a second. So if we're going to do good navigation, we really have to care about billionths of a second.
Precise time measurements are also critical in telecommunications, manufacturing, and even finance.
If you're trading commodities, it's important to know which transaction came first in New York and Los Angeles.
Compared to a billionth of a second, a million years seems like a very long time. But officials here believe this clock will be accurate within 1 second for at least that long. Anna Osborne, Channel 2 News.
In 1967, an international conference adopted the cesium standard as the worldwide measure of a second. Since then, a second has been defined as 9,192,631,770 vibrations or oscillations of a cesium atom.
Amazing and very technical.
Yes.
But it's great to know.
It is.
Well, Colorado kids are celebrating Earth Day with a welcome gift for our planet. They'll show you all we'll show you all they're doing when we come back tonight.
And you'll see what the city of Denver's doing this Earth Day to clean up our air.
They're the most powerful force in the universe. Now the Borg have the most destructive plan ever to conquer the human race.
You have committed acts of aggression against the United Federation of Planets.
Target 1, the Enterprise.
Directed, denied. Jordy, evacuate engineering.
Target 2, Captain Picard.
Your culture will adapt to service ours. We would rather die.
The final target.
Earth.
On the next exciting episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation.
10 o'clock on Denver's 2 tonight.
Some say the best Earth Day will be the one when we no longer have to set aside just 1 day a year to remember the environment. They say that'll be the time when every day is Earth Day and we all contribute to the good of the planet. But as Channel 2's Rebecca Stevens tells us tonight, Earth Day 1993 has been a big hit, especially with those who will inherit the Earth.
It won't disintegrate. What if 2,000 years from now, someone who is 10 years old goes into a landfill and looks around? What are they going to see?
Trash.
Trash. Are they going to see how we live now?
Yes.
Yes, parts of...
These Wheat Ridge grade schoolers know that things like car parts, glass bottles, and pop cans will still be in our landfills many years from now. Many of them don't like that thought. They want to save our planet now.
Well, I've learned that we need to recycle to save our Earth, and that we shouldn't chop down rainforests because trees help us breathe air and they produce oxygen.
Today is Earth Day, and these kids are some pretty savvy environmentalists. Here at Wilmore Davis Elementary, there were 4 tents set up to teach students about living in harmony with all the living creatures on the planet. Here's what Earth Day means to some of the students we talked to.
Well, it means that we need to save the rainforests and the oceans. We need to recycle. The ozone layer is getting smaller, and if we keep on throwing away our trash, it's going to go in landfills, and pretty soon we're not going to have an Earth.
Some pretty strong words from grade schoolers, but they weren't the only ones celebrating Earth Day 93. Students at Eagle Crest High School were celebrating with pickaxes, shovels, and rakes. They're putting their talents to work to build a nature trail and to clean up.
So they've got trash bags. You'll see them wandering all throughout the prairie and around the school doing that. And then the naturalists are also taking them on nature walks to talk to them about the different types of animals and plants that are out here.
I think people need to understand that our environment is a special place, and if we keep treating it the way we treat it, then our kids aren't going to be able to see what we're able to see.
Back in the classroom, the students have a great philosophy for the future. Perhaps the most important lesson these children are learning is to reuse, recycle, and reduce. And it's a lesson they're learning every day, not just on Earth Day. Rebecca Stevens, Channel 2 News.
Students celebrated Earth Day all over the U.S. today. School children in New Jersey tried to think of ways to get people in their state to carpool and to use mass transit. And in New Mexico, ranchers and farmers took out radio ads to show how they take care of the Earth every day.
The city of Denver is marking this Earth Day by turning its fleet of city vehicles into a green fleet. Not all city vehicles will become a part of the special fleet, but now Denver will make a concerted effort to buy vehicles with better gas mileage, reduce the number of city vehicles, and reduce the amount of travel by city employees. The green fleet policy also means that Denver will switch some vehicles to alternative fuels. City leaders say this will cut pollution and save money.
Roughly, we should save $1 million in fuel costs over the next 10 years. Equally important, it is a means of addressing air pollution on the ground level, which is generated by the municipal vehicle fleet.
Denver officials have been working with an international committee on efforts to reduce global warming throughout the world.
It may be spring, but that is not stopping one city from sending out the snowplows. We'll show you the winter white just ahead.
First Al says nothing so drastic in our forecast. In fact, the weekend's shaping up pretty well. Stay with us.
Okay, now pay attention. This button plays the message. Don't touch it, you'll break it.
U.S. West knows answering machines can break.
This button erases the message. Don't touch it, you'll break it.
But with U.S. West voice messaging service, you don't have to worry about broken tapes or garbled messages.
Okay. Now this button, hey, it's broke. Did you touch it? I told you not to touch it.
I didn't touch it.
Well, it's broke.
You broke it.
Well, you touched it.
Get voice messaging.
You must have touched it.
From U.S. West, making the most of your time.
Settle down.
A lot of people mowing those lawns already.
You betcha, yeah. And a lot of people enjoyed today's weather as well. It was just wonderful. The warmest day of the year so far. Of course, that's going to change day by day as we head into the season. The nice thing is, I know everybody wants to know this, the nice thing is we're going to continue in this pattern for a while. We had a few clouds today, but no real problems. So far this evening, we have partly cloudy skies. Temperature still holding steady at 63 degrees. Remember when we thought that would make a nice daytime high temperature? And we're hanging in there right now. 33% relative humidity, a little light southwest breeze now at about 3. Barometer 2969, about mid-range for us, a little on the low side and continuing to fall. Now let's take a look over here into the Pacific. We haven't been out here for a while to see what we have in store for the weekend, but one trend that I see already, notice how this storm system here kind of retrogrades. It kind of backs up against itself over here and folds up. These things are kind of tricky sometimes, but it looks like most of the energy really is going to the north. Subtropical jet still to the south of us. So in other words, we're betwixt and between, and I think that's a pretty good place to be. The storm track has a tendency to work its way across the northwestern part of the U.S. Also has a tendency to kind of clip parts of the Rockies at times. I think for the next couple of days, it may move just to the north of us and then come down through the Dakotas, maybe over into Nebraska. In the meantime, though, we still have a few clouds in through here, much like the ones we had today, mostly the mid or the high-level clouds. Those probably won't create too much in the way of a problem for us. Of course, anytime they go across the mountains, they're likely to kick off a little snow flurry or two, but it looks like nothing real significant in there. Different kind of a story in the eastern U.S. There's a huge low-pressure trough back here now, also a blocking high in the Atlantic that doesn't allow it to go anyplace. You see when this air kind of comes up and around here, it's plenty moist, and it comes back down and collects plenty of cold air with it. Altoona, Pennsylvania. They had anywhere from 8 to 14 inches of snow, parts of central New York. Remember we were talking about the rains that they had in there, making the flooding problems even worse? Well, that changed over to snow. In and around Binghamton, they had as much as 10 inches of snow. How would you like to wake up to see that? And, of course, a lot of the trees have already started budding and blooming in through there, and so, of course, with the heavy snow continuing to fall in there once again, they've had a lot of breakage. They've had a lot of power lines down. That's going to continue all the way through some portions, the interior portions of New England once again. So I'd much rather have what we had here than what they have. Again, light showers, snow flurries and showers up around Syracuse. They had between 3 and 4 inches of snow. And again, to the south here, it's kind of quiet. You notice we're not getting a lot of echoes down to the southern tier of states. If we were getting into that warmer air with the cold air to the north mixing, we'd see a lot more thunder boomers, but that's just not happening. How warm was it today? It was gorgeous. I was up talking to the kids in Conifer today. We were into the 60s even this morning when we were looking at all the different types of clouds. 78 out on the west slope, and I was saving the best part. Look at this. 80s up and down the Front Range today. 85, the hot spot for the folks in La Junta this afternoon. We had some 80s all around town this afternoon. Yeah, I know. You saw the thing over at the bank thermometer that said it was 87 degrees. It's like their interest rates. It's about 3% too high. Up and down the Front Range tonight, we're looking for temperatures in the mid-40s, and it doesn't look too bad at all. We're going to continue with some breezes, particularly on the western side of town. Upper high country temperatures expected to be in the 30s once again. A little bit cooler tomorrow. We see some clouds beginning to move in once again, and as I said, when they get hung up over the higher hills, they may, in fact, produce a few little snow flurries and showers for the die-hard skiers. But everybody else looking at partly cloudy skies. We cool way down to 68. Not too bad, though, for this time of the year. That's normal. Here's the forecast for tonight. Looks like partly cloudy skies, rather windy west side of town, breezy on the east side of town. Temperature expected to be just about 45. But don't put your tomatoes out yet. It's still going to get cold again. Partly cloudy and windy again tomorrow. Not quite as windy as today. We'll see some pretty gusty winds again in the western suburbs, but not bad. And tomorrow night, mostly cloudy. Gives a nice little blanket. Overnight low drops off to about 38. I changed my mind about the forecast here. The way I said it looks like most of the storms are going to go through the Pacific Northwest and just kind of visit them. They'll drag by to the south, giving us some variably cloudy skies at times. Daytime high temperatures are expected to still be in the upper 60s to around the low 70s, maybe even some mid-70s. Monday, yep, those are downslope breezes there for you once again. So it looks like maybe April's giving way to May, finally. Right on schedule.
Very nice. Thanks, Al.
It's a surf and turf bet over the first meeting between the two expansion teams in the major leagues. Colorado Senator Hank Brown has bet Florida Senator Connie Mack on the winner of 2 out of 3 games between the Rockies and the Florida Marlins. Brown is putting a 48-ounce porterhouse steak on the table against Mack's offer of some seafood.
I'm confident that Colorado is going to sweep the series. The Rockies are going to sweep the series. In fact, Connie Mack has already introduced a bill in Congress that would require the breaking up of the Colorado Rockies because of our awesome record so far.
The series between the two teams begins tomorrow at Mile High Stadium. You can watch tomorrow's game right here on Channel 2, beginning at 6 p.m.
That was a lot of steak.
Yeah, a chunk of it.
Yes. Coming up in our To Your Health report tonight, an unusual medical use for cigarettes. We'll show you that.
And we'll show you around an important new place here in Denver that will help save countless lives.
First, though, Jim Conrad has your sports, including a look at a sensational girls soccer team.
Channel 2 Sports is brought to you in part by Rocky's Auto Sales, 63rd and Federal, and by the Denver Post, the official newspaper of the Fan. Call 832-3232.
Nuggets on the road for the last time for the season.
Very last, and I think they'll be thankful to get away from there.
Not good.
To be honest with you, yes. Nuggets with their last chance of the season to win on the road as they visit David Robinson and the Spurs in San Antonio tonight, but it wasn't much of a chance. Dale Ellis picks up some garbage underneath here. The Spurs hit 15 of their first 20 shots. Then Avery Johnson on the drive. Spurs set a club record with 45 points in the first quarter. And watch on the alley-oop pass to David Robinson. The Spurs actually led by 27 points in the first quarter, and they go on to win it by 20. Chris Jackson had 20 points for the Nuggets. Nuggets come home now to finish the season on Sunday as they host Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns. Speaking of the Suns, they nipped Portland on Charles Barkley's shot with 0.5 seconds remaining tonight. Chicago beats Detroit in overtime. Houston leading Minnesota in OT, and the Clippers lead Seattle also in the second quarter, I should say. After a big win last night, the Rockies get the blues again in St. Louis and lose to the Cardinals this afternoon, dropping the series 2-1. Bottom of the second we go. Mark Whitten with the home run to left field, his fourth of the season. 1-0 Cardinals at that point. Then we go to the top of the seventh. Cards leading 2-1. Dale Murphy will hit it to shortstop. Charlie Hayes will score, tying the game at 2. But in the bottom of the eighth, Todd Zeal with the single to drive in Ray Langford. 3-2 Cards, and they would roll on to a 5-2 win. The Rockies now come home to host the Florida Marlins as the two expansion teams meet for the first time tomorrow night, 6 p.m. at Mile High Stadium. We'll have the game for you live here on Denver's 2. The Marlins, meanwhile, beat Atlanta this afternoon. Montreal over Los Angeles. San Diego nips Philadelphia. Andy Bennis, his third straight win. Pittsburgh edges Cincinnati, and San Francisco bombs the Mets. Reds closer Rob Dibble goes on the 15-day disabled list today. He breaks his left arm on a play at the plate last night. In the American League, New York at Oakland this afternoon. Top of the third, Ron Darling issues his fourth straight walk. The Yankees score. It's 2-0 New York. Then Matt Noakes with the broken bat single. Boy, did that break. To drive in 2. The Yankees lead at 4-0, and they go on to get the win over the A's 5-1. Elsewhere in the American League, Minnesota gets by Milwaukee. Jim DeShay's the first 4-game winner in baseball. White Sox edge Baltimore. Toronto leads Kansas City in the bottom of the 9th. Seattle blanking Boston in the bottom of the 4th, and California leads Cleveland also in the bottom of the 4th. Sunday is draft day in the NFL, and most are pushing for the Broncos to draft a wide receiver in the first round. But head coach Wade Phillips says the team needs defensive line help. To get one or the other, Phillips hasn't ruled out trading up or even down on Sunday.
It looks like they're all falling out, then we're more pressed to move up. If it looks like some of the guys that we like are going to get to us, well, then we don't have to. Even if they get to us and more than the guys we want are there, we're willing to trade back a few spots like we did with Atwater in that draft.
On the heels of the death of a Washington football player in an accidental pipe bomb explosion, a Kentucky football player is in critical condition tonight with a gunshot wound to the head. Junior walk-on Ted Presley shot himself while playing a form of Russian roulette. On this week's Prep Sports Special, Mike Kelly has the story of a girls' soccer team that's been pretty close to invincible.
It's been a near picture-perfect year for the Crusaders soccer team.
You're playing exactly the way the team is playing, and you're not hustling to the ball. You're not taking control. Take control.
Coach Ray Van Helkelem's girls have been in control so far this season, winning 11 of 12 games. They appear ready to defend a state championship won last year, but the pressure is building.
I'm just now, and this is strange, but I'm just now starting to feel that pressure in my own mind, and that's something that's kind of self-imposed. I feel like the girls have handled it better than I have.
If we work hard and we keep playing like we have been, it won't be really hard to achieve.
This may be one of Denver Christian's best ever. So far this season, they've allowed just 9 goals, while offensively scoring in bunches.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And what makes them all the more impressive is the Crusaders have only 4 seniors on the team, but they appear to be in all the right places.
As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. One of them is a goalie, one of them is a fullback, one of them is a midfielder, and one of them is a forward. So in all those lines, I have leadership, and that's been very important for us.
Yes, they are on a roll. And they all agree winning another state title would be, well, big.
It would be huge. It would be the best thing.
Mike Kelly, Channel 2 Sports.
In golf, Tom Pertzer and Mike Sullivan share the first-round lead at the Greater Greensboro Open. They both shoot 5 under 67s today. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Pittsburgh beats New Jersey, the Islanders over Washington in overtime, Buffalo beats Boston in OT, and Montreal downs Quebec, also in overtime. So tomorrow, a big day as the Fish come to Denver for the first time.
The Big Fish.
The Fish to play the Rockies out at Mile High Stadium. We'll have it live here at 6 o'clock.
That'll be an interesting game
It's gonna
between
be fun.
two expansion teams.
Yep.
They'll be packing them in out there, we hope. We'll be right back tonight with a lot more news for you. Up next, several new developments in the Branch Davidian cult compound investigation. We'll have a complete report on the new controversial discoveries. Also up next in national news, the bodies of other inmates are found a day after the prison standoff in Ohio. In our To Your Health report, another E. coli bacteria scare, this time linked to milk. And coming up later tonight, they're turning the tables on their typewriters and taking aim at the big cheese. Stay with us. Our top story tonight, a CU student viciously beaten last Friday remains in critical condition, while police say they are close to making an arrest in the attack.
20-year-old Paul Kelly was assaulted in Boulder near the CU campus after being separated from friends. Police suspect 3 students who go to Fairview High School and today seized a car they say belongs to the suspects. Investigators also say they've spoken to several suspects who have voluntarily came forward and say since some of them are juveniles, they are moving cautiously before making any arrests. So far, no motive has been revealed in connection with the beating.
Questions tonight about government claims of how some Branch Davidians died.
A medical examiner's comments top our look at news from around the nation and the world tonight.
That medical examiner says so far there's no evidence of gunshot wounds on the 46 bodies found in the remains of the cult compound so far. That disputes Justice Department claims that at least 3 bodies had been hit by bullets. Tonight, CNN's Judy Fortin has the latest on the continuing investigation, and we must warn you that some of the descriptions are very graphic.
Late this afternoon, investigators removed the first victims from the remains of the cult compound in black body bags. According to a medical examiner, most of the bodies were found lying face down. Some of them were clutching guns in their hands.
The scene is very complex. As you all know, there were at least 2 or 3 structures, and they have all collapsed down to the ground level. The bodies that we're seeing today are those that are found only on the surface.
9 bodies were found on top of a bunker. Most of the remains were badly damaged by the fire's intense heat. Almost all will have to be identified by dental records. Dr. Rodney Crowe says the task will be very difficult to complete.
The facial features on the first body that we got was bad enough, but it seemed to be an omen that not to just preclude any hope that it would get better, but it's worse. There are no faces on some of them.
Dr. Crowe says on top of the gruesome recovery process, he has to deal with the constant danger of live ammunition in the rubble. Authorities say there are 1 million rounds stored in the bunker.
It gives you second thoughts about what you're doing up there. I stepped over several hand grenades just on the way out to come down and talk to you. There's rocket shells.
Only 1 autopsy has been performed on what is believed to be a white male in his 50s. Dr. Pirwani says he died of smoke inhalation. And despite reports to the contrary, there is no evidence yet anyone had been shot.
The bodies are in a very bad state. Until we take the bodies to the morgue, until we have totally radiographed them, fluoroscope them and examine them, then can we be certain that whether they died of gunshot wounds or not.
Investigators at the crime scene are only working during daylight hours, not only to keep them from getting overly tired, but reportedly also to help prevent psychological trauma. I'm Judy Fortin reporting near Waco, Texas for Channel 2 News.
The bodies of 2 more inmates have been recovered at that prison in Ohio tonight. Today, authorities located the body of 1 inmate early in the day and then found another man's body later this afternoon. That makes 9 prisoners who died in the 11-day siege. Originally, 7 inmates were thought to have been killed in the uprising at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility. State lawmakers have ordered investigations into the siege that ended with a 7-hour surrender broadcast live last night. The FBI tonight has issued a special edition of its 10 most wanted list. Authorities today named Ramzi Ahmed Yosef as number 11 in a special most wanted fugitives notice. The FBI is offering a reward of $2 million for information leading to Yosef's arrest and conviction on terrorism charges. He was indicted by a federal grand jury in connection with the bombing of the World Trade Center February 26th. The 26-year-old Iraqi native is considered armed and extremely dangerous.
It's being called a place of deep sadness and a sanctuary of bright hope for generations to come. The new United States Holocaust Memorial Museum was unveiled today, and as Channel 2's Mark Mooney reports, the ceremonies were not without controversy.
Calling it a monument to the obscenest of deaths and devastation, officials dedicated the United States Holocaust Museum in the heart of the nation's capital. Heads of state from Eastern Europe and Israel were in attendance, as were thousands of concentration camp survivors from around the world.
This is a place where timeless questions are raised. Where was God? And why did he permit the innocent to be trampled?
To the visitor, the Holocaust Museum may provoke more questions than provide answers. The exhibit, called the Shtetl Tower, several stories high, is a grim photo album of human evil. It represents a whole village wiped out by Nazis in just 2 days of killing.
As you walk through those exhibits, looking into the eyes of the killers and their victims, ask yourselves, how could murderers do what they did and go on living?
Standing as testimony to the brute fact of attempted genocide in Nazi-occupied Europe, the museum nonetheless had its detractors, a noisy protest of neo-Nazis and skinheads.
There was no Holocaust. They want more money, they want more tax dollars for Israel, so they keep crying that 6 million were gassed.
Within earshot of the skinheads were dozens of former Nazi camp prisoners, like Auschwitz survivor Miriam Friedman, who said, "You want proof? I've got proof."
When I hear it's disgusting, despicable.
Bill Clinton, the first American president born after World War II, warned that there are still demons loose in the New World Order and challenged all to be vigilant against hate mongers everywhere.
Look at the liars and the propagandists among us, the skinheads and the Liberty Lobby here at home, Radical Party of Serbia, the Russian black shirts. With them, we must all compete for the interpretation and the preservation of history.
In closing the ceremony, the president helped light the museum's eternal flame, which, along with the immortal words of Elie Wiesel etched in stone, become unforgettable symbols of the museum.
For the dead and the living, we must bear witness.
In Washington, Mark Mooney, Channel 2 News.
Many are comparing the Holocaust to events currently unfolding in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And today, the United Nations Secretary General warned against any quick military action to stop the civil war. A ceasefire appears to be holding in the town of Srebrenica, but Serbs accuse the Muslims of violating an agreement to demilitarize that area. The Serbs, who now control most of Bosnia, have repeatedly rejected UN peace proposals.
Up here next tonight in our environmental report, plans to turn eastern Colorado into a high-tech environmental trade center.
Also up next, high-tech and invaluable. A new medical center opens here in Denver.
Medical concerns about raw milk from dairy cows in Oregon. We'll explain that.
And a controversial good use for cigarettes. It's all next in our To Your Health report.
We'll be right back.
We know how to help you save on the truck you want during Dodge Truck Month. Take this roomy Dodge Dakota Club.
But hurry, supplies are limited. See your favorite Colorado GMC truck dealer today.
Environmental report tonight, establishing Colorado's Front Range as an environmental trade center of the future. One of the subsidiaries of Denver's CH2M Hill Company will relocate its headquarters to the metro area by this fall. Operations Management International will join 1,000 other environmentally based companies already in the area. OMI specializes in water and waste management. A company spokesperson says tonight one reason for relocating is the strong reputation the Front Range is developing as an environmental stronghold.
In our To Your Health report tonight, the metro area is now home to one of the largest organ banks in the country. The Mile High Transplant Bank today held an open house at its new headquarters. Bank directors decided to build new facilities because technology was expanding and they wanted to grow with it. The bank specializes in the recovery of bone and soft tissues. The new location is 3 times larger than the old one. The open house was held in conjunction with the National Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Week.
There continues to be a national shortage of organs and tissues in the United States. The demand for organs and tissues far exceeds the supply. It's particularly acute here in Colorado.
Sandler says among other pluses, the new facility has an operating room. For years, doctors have been telling us all the bad things about cigarettes. Now, some researchers here in Denver may have found a good use for smoking. Scientists at the VA Center for Neuroscience and Schizophrenia say cigarettes may help unlock the secrets of schizophrenia. Researchers say nicotine might stimulate a faulty receptor in the brain that many schizophrenics have. Now the scientists want to find another drug to replace that nicotine.
Health officials in Oregon tonight are blaming E. coli bacteria for making 6 people there sick. All drank unpasteurized or raw milk. State officials have since ordered a recall of raw milk in the Portland area. Oregon is one of only a handful of states that allows the sale of milk that hasn't been heat pasteurized.
Al says start making those plans to enjoy a great weekend outdoors. He's next with an updated look at the sun.
Jim's here with our always great play of the day, and it's the day of the secretary, this time towering high above the boss. We'll explain.
You know, a lot of fellas my age are...
The Pennzoil Motor Oil today. Details of participating King Supers.
Yeah, true. It's going to cool down somewhat during the day tomorrow, but we're still looking at something right near 68 degrees, partly cloudy skies, rather breezy to windy at times again, and tomorrow night about 38. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, looking not too bad. We have a few clouds in the forecast. They should only produce a few showers over the high country. Daytime highs clinging near 70 degrees. Cools off just a bit on Tuesday. Overnight lows in the high 30s to around 40. And there is a chance you may get some snow in the mountains in the next 24 hours, particularly tomorrow morning, so be careful of that. Jim, what do you have for us?
We got the Robert Waxman play of the day. Mark Wiebe from Highlands Ranch at the Greater Greensboro Open today. Watch him out of the bunker on number 12. Up, up. It's going to go. Trust me. Mark Wiebe with the birdie out of the Sand of Beauty. And don't forget the premiere of the Don Baylor Show this Sunday at 6:30, and we're going to premiere on that show a new Rockies video that is sensational. The music's terrific.
Okay, great.
All right.
Done by a local person, right?
Done by, yes, a local person.
And the game tomorrow night, right here.
Game tomorrow,
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. It's the chance to bash the boss, and there's no shortage of candidates. To celebrate National Secretaries Day, people at this Washington, D.C. bar sponsored a Get Even event. Secretaries lined up for the chance to throw a typewriter on a cutout image of their boss. No prize for the best pitch, but in this case, it's probably the thought that counts more than anything else.
That thing suffered a little bit out there. My. We'll be back in just a moment. That wraps things up for us tonight. Thanks for watching.
I'd like to say hi to my mom and dad. I'm not supposed to. Join us again tomorrow night at 9. Denver teenager will be sentenced for the shooting death of another youth last fall. We'll tell you how long he'll be behind bars.
Also, some arrests could be made soon in the brutal beating of a CU student last weekend. We'll keep you up to date on that investigation.
Join us for Channel 2 News right after the Rockies' first showdown with the other expansion team, the Marlins, live here on Denver's 2 at 6.
Good night.
Good night.